In the rolling plains of southeastern Kansas, there was once a quiet settlement known simply as Osage Township, a place of wide skies, dirt roads, and a promise of new beginnings. But in the early 1870s, travelers began to vanish along a lonely stretch of the Great Osage Trail. Men riding west with money in their pockets, families moving toward hope, merchants, soldiers, drifters, strangers. One by one, they were never seen again. And at the center of this dark corridor stood a modest wooden inn, run by a family who greeted visitors with warm meals, polite smiles, and a reputation that grew more unsettling with every passing month. Tonight, we step inside the home of America's first known serial killer family, the Bloody Benders. In 1871, a group of settlers calling themselves the Bender family arrived in Kansas. John and Elvira Bender, the older pair, presented themselves as husband and wife. The younger two, John Jr. and Kate, were said to be their son and daughter. Though to this day, their true relationships remain uncertain. They built a small cabin that doubled as a general store, an inn, and a simple dining area. A canvas curtain divided the front room from the back, where the family slept. Their farm lay just a few miles from other homesteads, yet travelers described the area as strangely isolated, a lonely stopover where the prairie seemed to swallow sound. Kate Bender, the daughter, became the most recognizable figure. She was young, articulate, and charismatic. She gave public lectures on spiritualism, advertised herself as a healer, and drew curious crowds. Her charm brought visitors to the inn, and her reputation kept them from questioning what happened to those who never made it beyond the Bender homestead. By 1871, the Great Osage Trail was the primary route for pioneers moving west. It was common for travelers to stop at small farms for supplies or a night's rest. So when a few men vanished along this stretch, most locals assumed they had died of exposure or theft. But in 1872, disappearances increased. Among them was a man named George Newman, a heavy traveler known to carry money. Soon after, a woman and her daughter vanished without trace. No bodies, no thieves, only rumors. Nearby settlers whispered about hearing screams in the night. Some noticed that the Benders' garden soil looked unusually disturbed, but no one confronted the family. They were quiet, private, and hard to read. And, in frontier Kansas, privacy was a respected, even expected, boundary. For a time, the disappearances were simply another danger of the road. The mystery escalated in March of 1873, when a respected physician, Dr. William York, traveled through the area and never returned home. He was known, educated, and well-connected, a man whose absence could not be ignored. When he failed to appear at his destination, two men began searching for him: his brother, Colonel Ed York, and his other brother, Kansas Senator Alexander York. Their investigation brought them directly to the door of the Bender Inn. The Benders greeted them politely. They denied ever seeing Dr. York. Kate insisted she had used her spiritual abilities to sense he was still alive. But something disturbed Colonel York. The family was evasive. Their answers felt practiced. And Kate's sudden friendliness, her suggestion that she could help find the missing doctor through seances, seemed hollow. York left the farm unsettled, but without proof, he could go no further. Just days later, York returned with armed men. He confronted the Benders about reports that a woman had once fled the inn after being threatened with knives. This time, the Benders reacted with anger. Elvira, the matriarch, screamed at York in German, demanding he leave her home. York apologized and withdrew, but the tension was growing. Then, a storm kept travelers off the trail for several days. When it cleared, neighbors noticed something strange. The Bender farm was silent. No animals roamed. No smoke rose from the chimney. And the inn was locked. A group of local men forced their way inside. The cabin was empty. The family had vanished. As they searched the home, they noticed dark stains beneath the dining table. When they lifted the boards, they found a trap door. Underneath lay a chamber, soaked with blood. The men fled outside and began digging the garden. Within hours, they found the first body, Dr. William York, buried face down. His skull had been crushed, and his throat slit. More digging revealed more graves. George Newman, the missing woman and child, and several unidentified men. In total, at least a dozen victims were found, though many believed the true number was far higher. A grim pattern emerged. Each victim had been struck from behind, their skulls shattered, their throats cut to ensure death, their bodies robbed and buried in shallow graves behind the inn. This was no crime of desperation. It was a system, a method, a family enterprise. Investigators pieced together the likely sequence of events. A traveler would enter the inn and sit at the dining table. Kate, acting as the charismatic mediator, distracted them. Meanwhile, one of the men, usually John or John Jr., waited behind the curtain with a hammer. At the right moment, the curtain would lift. A single blow to the back of the skull sent the victim to the ground. Then they were dragged through the trapdoor into the cellar where their throat was cut. Money, weapons, and valuables were removed. The body was taken to the orchard under darkness. To locals along the trail, the Benders appeared self-reliant, quiet, and perhaps a little strange. But inside their cabin, they had engineered a killing machine disguised as hospitality. News of the discovery spread rapidly. Hundreds joined the search for the missing family. Curiously, at every place the Benders were reported to have traveled, the trail went cold. Some said John and John Jr. fled on horseback, while Elvira and Kate took a train east. Others believed they escaped together. Still others thought the Benders never existed as a family at all, that their identities were fabricated, their relationships invented, and their true origins permanently hidden. Rewards were offered, sightings reported, arrests made. But none could be definitively proven to be the Benders. And so, over the decades, the story became part of American folklore. A family of killers who vanished into the wilderness and were never caught. Today, the land where the Bender cabin once stood is quiet again. The prairie has reclaimed the soil, leaving only a faint marker to remind us of the mystery that once haunted this place. What truly drove the Bender family remains unknown. Their motives, their identities, and their final destination were lost the moment they slipped into the prairie night. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking the video. And if you'd like to join me for more journeys into forgotten crimes and hidden histories, make sure to subscribe for future episodes. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and thank you for watching.